Our next guests are making their first appearance here at Smart San Diego TV. Please welcome real estate expert Monet Love and attorney Pat Shea.
Welcome to the show, guys. How you doing?
Yeah.
All right. Great to have you here, Monet.
Thank you.
Love is now on the air officially.
Love
You're
is
doing
on the air.
your radio show on ESPN Radio, which is going really well, I've heard.
Yes, it's awesome. I love it.
Fantastic stuff. And you wanted to bring Pat on the show today.
Yes.
Tell me why.
I wanted to bring Pat on the show. Been in real estate for 17 years, and I find that a lot of my clients will be doing work on their house or their home, their investment properties, and they will be using unlicensed contractors or Uncle Bob to come and fix the garage door.
I have an Uncle Bob.
Your Uncle Bob
So
is
do I.
okay, but everyone else's Uncle Bob cannot fix the garage door. And what happens is if there are issues where someone is hurt or something like that, then it becomes a liability issue on the homeowner. So in several instances, I've consulted Pat. He's an attorney here in San Diego, and he has helped my clients and me also understand more about the liability issues as a homeowner.
Okay, so this is all about CYing your A today,
Exactly.
right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Pat, thanks for coming today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And I think this is one of those things where people do need to realize that when you have home ownership or when you own a home, or maybe even if you rent a home, we'll ask you that, you have some sort of liability associated with it.
Absolutely.
When people come into your house, whether it's friends for a party or your kids' friends or whatever, there's liability associated there, right?
Yeah, and a lot of it's counterintuitive. That's why we wanted to talk about some particular situations today. It's frequent that people have their handyman, their go-to guy who's going to do the plumbing work or the carpentry work, especially with people who have investment properties. They might have 3 or 4 properties and they have the same guy doing the work. A couple issues come up. Number one, if they're unlicensed, even though you might get a better deal for that particular work based on the costs, if something happens to that unlicensed contractor, you actually become legally their employer, and they're entitled to all the benefits that they would get as an employee under the workers' compensation system. So, and that can be huge depending on the injuries they suffer.
Holy smokes.
And it's people don't realize that. It's counterintuitive. So, I mean, it's really important to do a couple things. You want to make sure the people you hire are licensed and bonded. If we're just talking about your own home and you're just a homeowner, you don't have to take the next step. But if you're running investment properties, you're buying multiple properties, you should always form an LLC or some type of limited liability protection so that your personal assets are not exposed. And that way, you, number one, have that protection. Number two, if the person's licensed and insured, you've shifted the risk to them, and don't cut corners.
Okay, so here's my big question.
Okay.
There's a difference between homeowners and, let's say, renters. So let's say Monet owns a condo in Del Mar. I live in it. I rent it from her. I mean, if I hire Uncle Bob to come and fix the plumbing and he slips and hits his head or something and goes into a coma, is she liable? Am
No.
I liable?
No, she's going to be removed unless she has knowledge of it. Unless she signed off on it, it's still going to go to you as the tenant who has the possession. Basically, is what the law looks at: possession of the property at the time that that the hiring was done.
Okay, so that's good for investment property owners out there. That you don't have to worry about every person who's coming into
Right,
the house.
Right. Exactly.
But now, regardless, here's a question: whether you're a homeowner or not. What about the people who work in your home? I'll give you an example. So we have a cleaning crew that comes once a week. I'll be very honest, as I usually am, right? Okay, I have to be. I don't know their status. I haven't seen a green card or, a driver's license. I didn't vet them or anything like that. I don't know if they have any licenses. They just come and clean the house, man. They run the vacuum, they dust stuff. That's it. We pay them cash money. I'm assuming I'm doing something wrong, though.
Well,
This is my form of confession right now.
Absolutely, and I won't even get into the tax consequence that you might be doing wrong, not paying payroll tax, and we'll just ignore that for now. But there is there is a surprising rule from a liability standpoint that I think will shock some people. So if you have a domestic worker, whether it is a maid, a nanny, a gardener, and they are injured, you then go back 3 months, so 90 days. If within that 90-day period they worked for you for 52 hours, they are considered your employee. And if you do the math, all that requires is about 5.1 hours a week. So for example, if you have somebody who cleans your investment properties and they go to 3 or 4 properties a week and they work 7 hours a week, even though they might be working for other people and for IRS purposes might be independent contractors, for workers' compensation in California, they're deemed your employee. And again, you become an employer, which can be very costly absent the right kind of insurance.
Okay. And that's what I wanted to try to kind of get to here. Like, all right, I understand. There's liability all over the place.
Right.
I'm not going to understand it. I'm not going to go to law school and know everything that you know. So
Right.
what's the solution?
Call Pat Shea.
Well, again, I touched on it briefly. I would say it's a three-pronged solution. Number one, if you're more than a homeowner and you have rental properties, you want to form some type of limited liability or S corp protection so that your personal assets are protected. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two is contact your insurance broker and make sure you have the right kind of insurance. You should have a workers' compensation rider on your homeowner's policy. You should make sure you've disclosed, so there's no misunderstanding later with your insurance company, you've disclosed every property that you own that you want to be covered by your insurance. And it's always a good idea to have, as a backstop, a comprehensive general liability policy that basically covers everything. And then you're protected. And then the third prong that I talked about is shift that burden to somebody else. Make sure everybody you're hiring is licensed and doing the job with insurance with their own employees.
Right. And if they're doing that, then the liability shifts to them.
Right. In fact, we can take it one step further. You take that unlicensed contractor who comes in your house and he brings Cousin Tony in to help him as an assistant worker. Cousin Tony's hurt. You're now Cousin Tony's employer.
Wow.
Right.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not
And
good.
most people don't recognize that. I mean,
No,
it's
they
just-
don't.
it's- yeah.
Monet, this is good information.
A lot of people want to just save, well, this person will do it for $2,000, this person will do it for $1,500. Well, what they don't realize is that their job will be done for $1,500, but if they fall and, break their arm or slip and fall or utilize, your property as a way to be able to sue somebody, since that is, something that is kind of running rampant, nowadays, you want to definitely take that step further and make sure that you're protected. And the first step people can do in doing that is making sure they contact their insurance agent to make sure they do have the riders necessary, to make sure they are covered, make sure that, they're not going to be held liable when they do start fixing and repairing things on their home.
Does that happen a lot when people are about ready to sell?
It does. In my business, what we do, my team and I will go out to homes and do a pre-listing appointment. So we will go through the home and try to look for things that can be fixed prior to escrow to make sure that their home is sold for the most value and everything is fixed, everything's in working condition, and we'll discuss it with the homeowner. And then at that point, they will we'll kind of advise them the things that they should be getting fixed prior to going into escrow to help save them money after So when they go into escrow, they're saving money.
Right.
However, when we leave, we have no control over, who they're hiring to come in the home. And so that's when the issues happen. Is sometimes I'll get homeowners calling me saying, oh, we can't sell because this happened. We had someone fall on the property. It's happened twice actually. And it's one of those things where you think it's not going to happen to me, but if it does, you're in trouble.
And I'll take it one step further, Derek. We've been talking about the liability for the worker being injured. Here's a scenario. You hire somebody in the situation Monet talked about, and they do some roofing work. Escrow closes, the new owner comes in. The roofing work was done negligently by an unlicensed contractor. Somehow a roofing beam falls and hits a third party who was just visiting the new homeowner to have a play date with their kids. That visitor is knocked out, injured. The previous owner, because they're the ones that hired the unlicensed contractor, are liable on a civil basis for the injuries to that third party. Get insurance.
This has been crazily enlightening. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show
Thank
today,
you.
Monet. I really appreciate it, Pat. That was awesome. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.